Hi, this is Brett from SRmoto, and I wanted to do a quick video and talk about aftermarket taillight kits, LED turn signals, LED headlight bulbs, and auxiliary LED lighting for the new Honda CRF300L. What we've got here is our 2021 Honda CRF300L dual sport project bike, and we just went through this bike and replaced the stock taillight assembly, stock turn signals, stock headlight bulb, and so on. And we've also installed some aftermarket auxiliary LED lighting on the front. So I thought it'd be a good time to do a quick video, go around the bike, talk about what we did, and kind of do a demonstration and show you, how the taillight kit works and the turn signals and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'll do here. All of the products that I talk about in this video are going to work on a 2021 and up Honda CRF300L, the standard model like we've got here. And for the most part, everything's going to work on the Rally model as well, although there, I think, is one exception. I'll make note of that as I talk about everything. And what I'll do is I'll put links in the video description down below to the different product pages on our website. We have an online store where all of these products are available for purchase. So, check the video description below when you're done watching the video for all of that information. I'll also link you over to this project bike page so you can see all, some of the other stuff we've done to it. There's more photos of the bike and so on. So definitely check the video description below when you're done watching. So I'll kind of start at the rear of the bike here. I'll talk about each of the parts we've installed, and then I'll also do kind of a demonstration of how they work. So at the rear, we replaced that big stock taillight assembly with this 12 O'Clock Labs integrated taillight kit and fender eliminator. So that's kind of what it looks like on the bike. Really cleans up the rear end of the bike. Just to give you kind of a size comparison of this to the stock taillight, this is what we pulled off the bike. That's that big plastic piece that hangs off the back that the license plate's attached to. That is the stock taillight, brake light assembly, and then the stock turn signals. So that's kind of what we pulled off. And then this is basically the 12 O'Clock Labs unit. This is what goes on the bike in its place. Now, a lot smaller, but the LEDs are super bright, so you're not really going to lose anything from a visibility standpoint, even though it's smaller. In fact, it's probably brighter than the stock taillight. And I'll demonstrate the lights here in a second so you can kind of see what they look like. But so that's kind of what goes on in its place. So let me turn the ignition on here and show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like as a running light. So basically comes on as a running light, and then built into the bottom of it is the LEDs for the license plate to light up your license plate. So it's got all that kind of built in. Probably hard to tell in the video here, but it is really bright. 12 O'Clock Labs uses really high quality and very bright LEDs. So you're gonna definitely be visible on the road. So that's kind of what it looks like with the running light on. And then I'll kind of try to demonstrate how the brake light works here. A little tricky to do, but you'll notice the safety brake pulsing built in. So every time you hit your brakes, it's going to pulse the brake light a couple times. You can turn that off if you want. This taillight is fully programmable. The instructions will tell you how to disable that if you want to. I generally leave it on. I think it's definitely a safety feature. Makes you more visible to cars coming up behind you, when you hit your brakes. So that's the brake light. Let me show you the turn signals. So that's what it looks like with the turn signals on. They flash right within the taillight itself. There's like 7 different programmable flash types you can do. I generally leave it with the default, which is this scrolling flash. I kind of like the look of that. But there's 6 other ones you can choose from. So you can kind of customize the look of it if you want. It's got just a standard flash. It's got a couple different high-speed flashes. It's got a chase flash and so on. Now some people ask us, what it looks like with the turn signals on and you hit your brakes. So basically, it's just everything's gonna get brighter. Turn signals will continue to flash. It disables the safety brake pulsing whenever you have the turn signals on and you hit your brakes. That way it's not mixing in that brake pulsing with the turn signal feature. So that's kind of what it looks like. Definitely very visible. So again, we're running this as an integrated taillight kit, but this is sort of kind of a hybrid taillight. If you want, you can leave your stock turn signals on. We've obviously pulled ours off, and included with the taillight kit are these block off plates to block the holes off, when you remove your stock turn signals. But you can leave your stock turn signals on if you want, leave them wired in to the turn signal wires on the bike. They would continue to work. And if you remember, on the harness for the integrated taillight kit, there's a taillight plug and then 2 turn signal plugs. If you leave those turn signal plugs disconnected, it'll just disable this integrated turn signal feature, but everything else will continue to work. The brake light, the running light, the safety brake pulsing, all that stuff will continue to work. And then your external stock turn signals would flash when you hit your turn signals. So that's one way you could do it. You could also install smaller aftermarket LED turn signals in the rear if you wanted to, and just wire those into the bike's turn signal wires just like the stock signals. If you go that route, we do sell the 12 O'Clock Labs turn signal mounting plates, which would replace these block off plates with special plates that have the 8mm hole in them to allow you to mount the aftermarket turn signals that traditionally have an 8mm threaded stud on them. So you can do whatever you want really with this taillight kit. You can run it integrated or with the traditional external turn signals if you want. Just a real slick looking taillight kit. Very high quality. 12 O'Clock Labs does stuff that I think some of the other taillight companies don't do. Like, just for example, they know these bikes are going to be ridden off-road in wet and muddy conditions, so they dip the LED board in a waterproof coating to make it, more durable, if it ever gets wet or muddy or whatever. So they just do stuff like that just to make the taillight kit last longer and be more dependable. They also have a really good warranty. They stand behind their product and so on. So if you're looking to replace that big kind of ugly stock taillight assembly, definitely look into this 12 O'Clock Labs integrated taillight kit. So that's kind of what we did at the rear of the bike. So now I'll kind of show you what we did at the front to replace the stock front turn signals. You could go with aftermarket LEDs that bolt up to the stock turn signal mount, which is on both sides of the headlight. We didn't do that. That's where we put our auxiliary LED lights, and I'll talk about those here in a second. But we're running Zeta Armor handguards on our bike, so they have an optional LED turn signal that you can add, and that's what we've done. So our front turn signals, I'll show you how they work in a second, but they're basically integrated into the handguards. Now these CRF300Ls come from the factory with front turn signals that are on as running lights, so they're on all the time basically when you're going down the road, and then they work as turn signals when you hit your turn signal switch. We wanted to retain the running lights in the front. Typically when you install aftermarket LEDs in the front, you're going to lose the running light feature. They'll just work as turn signals. But 12 O'Clock Labs makes a running light adapter for the 300L that It's a little plug and play piece, wires in with these stock or with these aftermarket LEDs, and that way they will work both as running lights and as turn signals. So if I turn the turn signals on, this is what they look like when they're flashing. So again, they'll work as turn signals, and then they'll also stay on as running lights. So it's just more lights on the front of the bike, make you more visible when you're going down the road. One other thing we've installed is a 12 O'Clock Labs fixed rate turn signal flasher. Normally when you install LEDs on these bikes, since they come from the factory with non-LED turn signals, the LEDs would hyper flash, so they would flash really fast. The fixed rate turn signal flasher is a little plug and play module. You plug it in, there's only one of them, it controls the front and rear turn signals. It'll make them flash slow. So we've installed that fixed rate flasher on this bike. That's why these are flashing slow, otherwise they'd be hyper flashing. Definitely recommend that once you install LEDs on the front and rear. So again, 12 O'Clock Labs fixed rate flasher, 12 O'Clock Labs running light adapter, and then the optional LED turn signals and the Zeta Armor handguards. So that's what we've done for turn signals. Headlight bulb. We replaced the stock halogen headlight bulb with a Cyclops LED headlight bulb, which is just a much brighter bulb than that stock halogen, and also a different color. The stock halogen is kind of a yellowish color. The LED bulbs from Cyclops are going to be a much whiter color. It's probably hard to tell in this video, but it's just going to be a lot brighter. You know, if you want to be more visible going down the road, or if you're riding at night, definitely look into getting one of these Cyclops LED bulbs. Direct replacement for the stock bulb. It's an H4 type bulb, just like the stock halogen. So you just take your headlight shroud off, pop out the stock bulb. This Cyclops LED bulb goes right in its place. The rubber boot that goes over the back side, you do have to trim it a little bit. Basically these LED bulbs have a built-in fan on the back side of the bulb. You can kind of hear it running. That's to cool the LED bulb. It sticks out a little bit, so you got to trim that little rubber boot away, but that's pretty much the only thing we had to do. So it's pretty much a direct replacement for that stock bulb, and just gives you a much brighter headlight bulb. So that's what we did for, you know, the headlight bulb itself. Let me turn these turn signals off. One other thing we wanted to do on this bike, you know, these dual sport bikes are probably some of the hardest bikes for cars to see on the road. You know, they're so narrow, they're small, they're narrow, so they're hard for cars to see. I don't like cars pulling out in front of me, you know, when I'm on the street, so we like to have a lot of lights on the front of the bike. So I wanted to install some auxiliary LED lighting on the front, not only for visibility, you know, for cars, but also, you know, if we get caught out at night, out on the road or on the trail or whatever, these auxiliary LED lights will help, you know, kind of light things up a little better, little safer riding off-road, especially after dark. So I wanted something, like I said, for better visibility for traffic, and then also riding after dark. So what we did is we installed these Denali Dm 2.0 LED lights. Now we have these installed on our Yamaha Tenere 700 project bike, and I really liked them on that bike, so I decided I'd try to get a set installed and working on the 300L. Now for the Tenere 700, Denali makes a specific mounting kit for that bike. They don't really make anything like that for the 300L, so I figured a good place to mount these would be the stock front turn signal mounting points, and it turned out to work real nicely. We used 12 O'Clock Labs LED turn signal mounting plates to kind of take up that big hole left when we remove the stock turn signals. And then these Denali lights are bolted right up to those plates. So ended up working out real nicely. You can adjust the lights up and down and side to side. And they're tucked in enough where I kind of think they're out of the way enough. You know, if I drop the bike or whatever, they're hopefully not going to get damaged. So I'll kind of show you what they look like here in a second when they're on. It's kind of, they're really bright, so it's hard to tell on camera. But so that's how we mounted them up. Now I'll just kind of briefly go over these lights a little bit. These are super high quality lights. These are not cheap, but you sort of get what you pay for with this stuff. You'll see these Denali lights on a lot of adventure bikes. They're super popular in the adventure bike kind of market, and also, you know, dual sport bikes as well. Completely waterproof. You know, this entire light, you can submerge it in water. It's completely waterproof housing. The wiring harness is waterproof. So, you know, these are going to be very durable, you know, for off-road riding. You get caught out in the rain or whatever, you're not going to have to worry about these. The bezels for the light, they're made out of a corrosion-proof material. They're not going to rust. They're not going to fade. They're not going to corrode. So just going to last a long time. Again, you get what you pay for on these. Some other features with these, you can get them in either a clear lens like we've done here or an amber lens. You know, some people like the look of the amber. I kind of like the clear myself. But another sort of really slick feature of these, they call it their Trioptic multi-beam lens system. You basically get a couple different lenses that you can swap in and out of these that will change the way the beam is dispersed from the light. So you can kind of get, I think the default and what I usually run is the spot beam. So it sends the beam of light further down the road or trail. It's kind of a narrower beam. So that's the spot beam. If you want to switch to more of a flood beam, which is a wider beam that doesn't go as far down the trail, but it kind of lights up to your sides a little bit more, there's a specific lens combination you install for that. And then there's kind of an in-between mode. They call it their hybrid mode or whatever. Kind of gives you kind of in between the spot and that flood beam. So you can kind of really customize for whatever type of riding you're doing, what that light is, how the light's going to be sent out of the housing, which I think is really slick. And all you do is, like I said, you just swap out the lenses. So it's real simple. One other thing, basically what you get with these, you know, you get the lights themselves, you get the wiring harness, and then you get a on-off switch that you mount on your handlebars to turn these on and off. So let me kind of show you here. So I usually leave them off for the most part, and then turn them on. Again, they're going to be super bright. So the way we have these installed, they're either on or off based on that handlebar switch. So as you can see, when we go down the road, we're pretty visible. Now, one thing, there's an optional piece you can get. They call it their dual intensity controller. That's like a $50 or $60 option. And what it does is it allows you to, using your high-low beam switch on your handlebars, you can get two different brightness levels of these lights. So when your brights are on, they'd be full bright like they are now. And then when you're standard, you know, when you don't have your brights on, they're kind of a half intensity. We are going to definitely install that dual intensity controller because I think these are too bright on full bright. Like if I have these on and I'm riding down the road, I've had a couple cars flash me. So they're just really bright. So probably only want to use them on full bright when you're out on the trail or on the road when there's no oncoming traffic and you just want full brightness. So if you get that dual intensity controller, you can control that with your high-low beam switch. When you have your low beams on, they'll be half intensity. When you have your high beams on, they'll be full bright like they are now. So if you go with these Denali Dm lights, I would definitely do that dual intensity controller. It's definitely worth it. Otherwise, like the way I've been riding around with these now, I generally have them off when I'm riding in traffic, but I've ridden a couple times at night and I'll turn them on. But again, if I had that dual density controller, I could, you know, I'd be able to run them on the whole time, and it's going to be a lot more visible, you know, going down the road for oncoming traffic. They also have another controller that's a little bit more expensive. I don't think we'll do it, but it will allow you to really kind of fine tune the brightness. It's almost like a dimmer switch on your handlebar, so you can really kind of independently control how those brights are, independent of how you have your headlight, whether your high beams or low beams are on. So really customizable, you know, you can kind of tailor it to your needs, so to speak. So again, that's the Denali Dm Trioptic LED light kit. And again, I'll put links in the video description below for all of this stuff. So if you want auxiliary LED lighting for your 300L, definitely check these out. And I think that's about it. That's pretty much all we've done. You know, it's probably all I'm gonna do for the lights on this bike. You know, aside from installing that dual intensity controller, I think I'm probably done. If you have any questions, post a comment down below. I try to check those comments. I'll get back to you. We also have an email address on our website. Shoot us an email. And again, check the video description below for links to the products I talked about and also to this project bike. Again, it's Brett from SRmoto. Thanks for watching.